The 3 News Kai Torque sat down with the mother of Mariah Sanders. She's the 25-year-old who was shot and killed by her boyfriend last night in Richmond Heights as her baby was next to her. Police say the suspect fled to Mayfield Heights and then killed himself.
5 warning signs appeared before Mariah Sanders' murder. 4 desperate calls from her mother went unanswered. 3 months of escalating violence culminated in 2 lives lost on March 4th, leaving 1 baby girl behind. This countdown to tragedy represents the warning signals that went unheeded, the opportunities for intervention that slipped away. We pieced together how 25-year-old Mariah Sanders' relationship with Shamar Summerall transformed from affection into lethal violence, examining the psychological barriers that prevented her escape despite unmistakable danger. The patterns we uncovered reveal crucial moments when intervention could have altered this devastating outcome, knowledge that might save someone else's daughter. March 4, 2025 began like any ordinary Tuesday for Mariah Sanders. The soft morning light filtered through the windows of her apartment as she went about her routine, tending to her 7-month-old daughter Serenity. What made this day different from others was the weight of a decision she carried, to finally discuss ending her relationship with Shamar Summerall once her lease expired. This private resolution would set in motion a chain of events that would end in tragedy before the day was through. As afternoon shadows lengthened across the Richmond Heights neighborhood, Mariah stepped outside with baby Serenity nestled in her stroller. The 444 Park Apartments complex bustled with the usual early evening activities. Residents returning from work, children playing, neighbors chatting. At 5:30 p.m., seeking the comfort of a familiar voice, Mariah dialed her mother, Sherry Brown. "She called me and said she was outside with the baby in the stroller," Sherry would later recall, her voice hollow with grief. The call began normally enough, a daughter checking in with her mother, but the conversation would soon capture the final moments of Mariah's life in excruciating detail. Witnesses later described seeing Mariah walking deliberately away from the apartment building, pushing the stroller with one hand while holding her phone to her ear with the other. Shamar followed several paces behind, his body language growing increasingly agitated with each step. One neighbor noted how his movements seemed erratic, hands gesturing wildly as Mariah attempted to maintain distance between them. Through the phone, Sherry Brown heard the escalation in real time. "Don't grab me," Mariah's voice came through clearly, tension rising in her words. Then more urgently, "Get off of me." The desperation in her daughter's repeated pleas sliced through Sherry's heart as she listened. Powerless to intervene from miles away, residents sitting on his balcony observed Shamar's face contorted with rage, describing later how his eyes looked empty, like he wasn't really seeing her anymore. Another witness reported that Shamar's movements became increasingly predatory, blocking Mariah's path, circling around to cut off possible escape routes as she tried to maneuver the stroller away from him. And those critical moments, Mariah's instincts turned toward protection. She positioned herself between Shamar and the stroller, creating a human shield for her infant daughter while trying to de-escalate the situation. All the while, she kept the phone connection open with her mother, perhaps knowing instinctively that someone needed to bear witness to what was happening. She kept saying, "Stop, stop," Sherry recounted to investigators. "I heard her trying to reason with him, telling him they could talk about things later when they were both calmer." The psychological pressure in those moments must have been immense. Experts in domestic violence situations note that when abusers sense they're losing control, especially when a victim is attempting to distance themselves, the risk of lethal violence increases dramatically. Shamar's body language, as described by witnesses, displayed the classic signs of someone entering a dangerous psychological state: rigid posture, quick, jerky movements, and focused, unblinking eye contact. Then came the sounds that would haunt Sherry Brown forever. Through the phone line, she heard what she initially thought might be firecrackers, a rapid succession of sharp cracks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then silence. The devastating reality crystallized as Sherry screamed her daughter's name into the phone again and again, met only with the ambient sounds of the evening air and the parking lot of 444 Park Apartments. Mariah Sanders lay motionless on the pavement, multiple gunshot wounds marking her body. Just feet away, baby Serenity remained unharmed in her stroller, too young to comprehend the horror that had unfolded before her or that her mother had just given her life to protect her. Richmond Heights police arrived at the scene at precisely 5:30 p.m., responding to multiple 911 calls from residents who reported hearing gunshots. Officers found Mariah's body near the southwest corner of the parking lot, her phone still connected to the call with her mother. Emergency medical personnel pronounced her dead at the scene while police secured the area and began gathering witness statements. As officers secured the crime scene where Mariah Sanders had just lost her life, a devastating truth hung in the air. 75% of domestic violence homicides occur when victims are attempting to leave their abusers. For Mariah, who had recently told her mother about ending her relationship once her lease expired, this statistic had become a fatal reality. The path that led to this parking lot tragedy wasn't forged in a single moment but built through months of escalating control, manipulation, and abuse. A relationship that had once held promise but gradually transformed into something deadly. 18 months earlier, Mariah and Shamar's relationship had bloomed with all the markers of new love. Friends described their early days as picture perfect. Shamar was attentive, charming, and seemed genuinely invested in building a future with Mariah. When she became pregnant with Serenity, the couple moved in together, creating what Mariah hoped would be the foundation for their family, with Shamar's hand protectively resting on Mariah's growing belly. But the first hairline fractures in their relationship appeared soon after they began living together. It started subtly, Shamar questioning Mariah about her whereabouts when she was just minutes late coming home from work. He began monitoring her phone, initially framing it as concern for her safety. According to Mariah's close friend Janice, who witnessed these early warning signs, he'd call constantly when she was out with us, demanding to know exactly who she was with and when she'd be home. It seemed protective at first, until it wasn't. After Serenity's birth, these controlling behaviors intensified. Shamar began isolating Mariah from her support network, creating reasons why she couldn't visit her mother or meet friends. He criticized her parenting decisions, undermining her confidence as a new mother. On one occasion, Mariah's sister witnessed Shamar berating her for using the wrong type of baby formula, a 30-minute tirade that left Mariah in tears while he loomed over her, fists clenched. The psychological barriers keeping Mariah trapped grew stronger with each passing month. Despite recognizing the troubling dynamics, she remained entangled in a complex web of emotions and practical concerns. Her mother, Sherry Brown, had recognized the danger signs early, repeatedly offering her daughter a safe haven. "I could see what was happening," Brown later told investigators. "I kept telling her our door was always open, but she had so many reasons why she couldn't leave yet." Those reasons formed the invisible chains that bound Mariah to her abuser. Financial dependency played a significant role. As a young mother with limited income, Mariah worried about supporting herself and Serenity alone. The apartment lease represented both a practical and psychological barrier. Breaking it early would mean financial penalties she couldn't afford, while waiting until it ended seemed like a safer path forward. Most significantly, Mariah worried about co-parenting with Shamar after separation, fearing he might use their daughter as leverage or worse, seek full custody. Just 10 days before the murder, Mariah had finally reached a breaking point. During a brief visit to her mother's home, one of the few Shamar had allowed in recent months, she quietly asked if she and Serenity could move back home once their lease ended in 6 weeks. "She was making plans to leave," Brown recounted through tears. "She thought she was being careful, doing everything right by waiting for the lease to end. She didn't want to provoke him." Research on domestic violence victims reveals that Mariah's situation followed textbook patterns. Victims often make multiple attempts to leave before successfully escaping, cycling through periods of hope and despair. They calculate risks constantly, trying to find the safest exit strategy while their abusers simultaneously work to maintain control. For many victims, financial entanglement and shared parenting responsibilities create practical obstacles that feel insurmountable. The most alarming warning sign came 3 weeks before the murder, when Shamar discovered text messages between Mariah and her mother discussing her plans to leave. That night, neighbors called police after hearing shouting and something breaking inside their apartment. When officers arrived, they found a shattered mirror and Mariah with a bruised wrist, but she downplayed the incident, claiming she had fallen. The officers left without making an arrest, a missed intervention point that haunts everyone involved. In the wake of this tragedy, Serenity now rests in the loving arms of her grandmother. Sherry Brown's commitment to raising her granddaughter stands as a testament to the enduring nature of family bonds amidst devastating loss. Her mother was really proud that she had her. She was really a good mother, very loving, caring, kind-hearted, Sherry shared through tears, preserving Mariah's memory for the daughter who will grow up without her. The ripple effects of domestic violence extend beyond just one family. With remarkable compassion despite her grief, Sherry reflected on the parallel pain experienced by Shamar's family. "I don't wish this on nobody. His mother has to go through what I have to go through. She lost her child, she has to bury her child. It's hard. It's hard." Resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline stand ready, yet remain tragically underutilized until it's too late.
I could hear him in the background, like hollering. And I guess he was trying to grab her. And she kept saying, like, "Don't grab me, like, get off of me." And I kept just like, "Where you at, where you at?" And she said she was outside. She was trying, like, she had the baby. But he went to go grab her again. I heard her say, like, "No, don't grab me again." And I heard the gunshots. And everything was silent.
In Serenity's innocent eyes lies both a reminder of what was lost and the promise of what might still be. Every story has an ending, but not every case has closure. If you're ready to uncover the next chapter, hit subscribe and tap the bell for updates. This is Vic's True Crime Stories, digging deeper, one mystery at a time. And remember, the truth is out there, but only if you keep looking.